I need to be just open and up front and admit something to you today. I hope you don't walk out when I tell you this, but I'm a sucker for a good binge of a TV show that no one has ever heard of. I love nothing more than to be the guy that finds some obscure show that none of you know about, and I'm the one who gets to tell you how great it actually is. No, never mind the maybe millions of dollars that they spent on marketing that got my attention in the first place. But I love it. And I should be honest as well. This is really more of me in a former life because I had this thing before kids. What was it called? Free time. And I could binge TV shows when I wanted to. Don't really have that anymore. There's one show I remember binging, though. It's probably 10 years ago now. And is a British-American comedy drama, dark humor show called You, Me, and the Apocalypse. See? Obscure TV shows that I binge that you haven't. And so I don't even know if I'd recommend this show to you, to be honest with you. I just know that I got sucked in for about 3 or 4 days straight. And it was 10, 12 episodes, whatever it was, an hour long each. And you can probably guess what the name of the show, what it's about. It's about the end of the world. And so obviously I'm hooked, I'm locked in, and Book of Revelation, taught a lot about that. But that's not about the end of the world, remember? Didn't get a name in there. Cool, we didn't listen to that series. Awesome. And so last episode, 3 days into binging this show, hours every night watching it. And as any good TV show does, the last episode ends on a massive cliffhanger. And I'm not going to ruin it for you, but he is not who he appears to be. Just leave it at that. And so I do what anybody does when a cliffhanger happens in a show. I go online and I go, when is season 2 of You, Me, and the Apocalypse coming out? And that's when I saw it in big, bold letters. You, Me, and the Apocalypse has been canceled. Love that for me. What a waste of time. Probably 12 to 15 hours of my life I will never, ever, ever get back. No one likes to waste time. You don't like to waste time. I don't like to waste time. In fact, if I asked you about the most frustrating moments from this week, you would probably tell me about something that happened that would in some way or another involve your time being wasted. You sat at the doctor's office for an hour for a 5-minute appointment. You were on the phone listening to elevator music forever until you went from an AI chatbot to a real human being who said, sorry, we can't help you with that problem, sir. It's not the school year, but many of us know the dread of the car line. And if you didn't make any noise there, it's because you don't have kids yet. And so I hate my time being wasted. You hate your time being wasted. In fact, we spend money to not waste our time. We protect our time. Like we know that our time is not something we can get back. Can't get it back. Once it's spent, it's spent. Which is why Amazon sells over 30,000 titles in the category of productivity or time management. Which is why if you go on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook and you just search productivity, time management, discipline, whatever it might be, you're going to be floored by the thousands upon thousands of videos that have millions upon millions of views that tell you that you need to dunk your face in a bowl of Saratoga ice water in the morning, right? If you don't know, don't Google it. Don't go down that rabbit hole. In fact, there's an entire section on YouTube. It's an entire genre of videos. I'm going to read it so I get it right. The title of the videos are Anti-Procrastination Study with Me videos. These are videos where people literally film themselves working at a desk for hours. You don't have the personality to do that. No. They don't talk to you. They just sit there and they work. That's interesting. I'm sure a couple hundred people watched that. Yeah, the video I found had 22 million views on it. YouTube pays you for that, right? Some of you don't like the job you're in right now. Put your phone on record and record yourself for 3 hours looking at a computer tonight. Who knows? Maybe you'll be a millionaire next week, right? And you can give me a cut of that. We don't like wasting our time. Don't like wasting it. We know it's precious. So again, we make money off helping people not waste their time. We spend money to not waste our time. We organize our life to not waste any time. That's not like a spiritual reality that you don't have to be a Christian to feel that way. You want to use your time well. Here's what I've been struck with this week, though. Just this question that I feel like God's put in my heart. It's this. Could it be that we spend so much of our lives making sure we don't waste our time that we never stop to ask if the time we are spending is actually wasting our lives? I'm so consumed about my productivity. I'm so consumed about my schedule. I'm so consumed about what I do every hour of the day to make sure that I'm using my time the best way. Have we stopped to even ask, am I using my time on the right things? Because time used on the wrong things ultimately lead to a life that is wasted. And I believe it's actually very easy to waste your life. It's very easy. And you don't have to be a Christian in the room to be someone who probably doesn't want their life to be wasted. We all want meaning. We all want purpose. We all want to live a life that is worth it and that lasts beyond us. So you should probably want to know whether you're wasting it or not. And I think that's what we're going to see today in this story we're going to read from Jesus, because what he's going to show us is this. That whereas most of us think a wasted life comes one decision at a time, or one bad big decision at a time. That bad decision to drink and to drive, to be in that relationship, to make that decision, to spend your money on that purchase. Many of us think that's the way that I waste my life. I would argue, and I think what Jesus is going to show us today, is that a wasted life is not from decisions, but from one singular attitude that you can have. And it's an attitude that you can have that encompasses your life and how you live it. And it's simply this. It's the attitude that says, my life belongs to me. Because that's how we waste our life. When we live as if they belong to us in the first place. A wasted life is a life that is lived with the assumption that this life that I have, it belongs to me. And so therefore, I am going to use it the way that I see fit. Jesus is going to confront that lie today right in its face. He's going to do so in a very unique way. Jesus is the master teacher. Even if you don't believe in God, you're exploring faith, I would highly recommend you just read the teachings of Jesus, because he's an expert teacher. Because he knows not just how to communicate information and content, but to communicate it in a way that actually sticks and actually holds weight in our heart. He uses a lot of different methods, but one of the methods that he uses throughout the Gospels is a method known as parables. These are stories, made-up stories, fictional stories, but fictional stories that communicate a very real point. In fact, here's what one pastor said to describe what a parable is. He said a parable is an ingeniously simple word picture that reveals a deeper spiritual truth. So there's always more than what meets the eye in a parable. Warren Wiersbe, another Bible teacher, here's what he said. I love it. It says this. A parable is first a picture and then a mirror. So at first I'm looking at a picture and I'm seeing everything within the picture, but the longer I look at it, I begin to realize that I'm in the picture. And that's what he's going to do today. He's going to speak to some individuals who, based upon their culture's standards, they have it figured out. They're disciplined, they're religious, they're influential. When it comes to their time and even their time management, there is no one who does it better. And yet Jesus is going to look at them and he's going to point out to them this singular fact. You are actually wasting your whole life. And he's going to do it by showing them a picture that eventually will become a mirror for them. Now, we're going to spend the majority of our time today working through this text. Like, we're going to go verse by verse. I'm going to stop and explain it and just kind of get you into what's going on. But we're in a series called The Chosen, and one of the things we love to do during this series is show a clip from The Chosen series. If you don't know what The Chosen is, it's a series that depicts the events that happen within the gospel surrounding Jesus and his disciples. And so it puts on the big screen these things that we could read within our Bibles. And I love the way that The Chosen depicts this parable because it gives us a couple things. One, it gives us a glimpse into maybe how it would have been received by the original audience, but also it gives us a glimpse into really how Jesus, the master teacher, could have communicated these things. He says in verse 33 of Matthew 21, listen to another parable. There was a landowner who planted a vineyard. He put a wall around it. He dug a wine press in it, and he built a watchtower. And then he rented the vineyard to some farmers and moved to another place. Then, when the harvest time approached, he sent his servants to the tenants to collect his fruit. If you were there the day that Jesus spoke this parable, these opening lines, they wouldn't have been too revolutionary for you. It's important for us, by the way, to remember, we say this super often, the Bible was not written to you, but it was written for you. If you want to know what it means for you, you've got to know what it meant to them. And to them, they would have gone, this is a regular, ordinary thing. There were vineyards all over the ancient Near East, especially in Palestine and in Israel. There were vineyards even in most homes. In fact, it was very common if you owned a home to at least own one vine at which produced some kind of fruit, olives or grapes or whatever it might be. So this was not out of the ordinary. It was also not out of the ordinary for an individual to invest in a vineyard and then to leave that vineyard in the care of workers and farmers and go to another location. This is just common practice. It's a passive income, so to speak. I will do what needs to be done for this to produce fruit, and then I'll leave it with trustworthy individuals, and then I'll collect my profits as time goes on. Not uncommon in any way whatsoever. What might have been a little uncommon for these individuals was the way that the master of this vineyard put so much meticulous care in ensuring that this vineyard was in a place to produce fruit. Notice what the landowner does when he plants this vineyard. He doesn't just plant a vineyard, he puts a wall around it. He's trying to protect this vineyard from anyone who would come in and do anything malicious. He digs a wine press, meaning we're not just going to produce grapes and then pay somebody else to turn it into wine. We're going to produce the wine ourselves. We're going to go be a farm-to-table type of situation here. And then he built a watchtower. Because not only was he trying to protect it, but he was trying to provide for it and be able to look in the horizon and go, I can see a threat before it even comes here. What's the point? The point is that these tenants were given an Airbnb that was fully stocked. I mean, they had furniture from Pottery Barn and West Elm. The fridge was stocked full of LaCroix. They had a big green egg and a Traeger in the backyard. And they said, basically we're told, hey, steward this well. Now, if you're in the original audience, remember who they are. They're Jewish. And so not only are they hearing this, recognizing the cultural implications, the reality of their everyday life, but there's a deeper thing going on here. And from the get-go, they're beginning to pick up on, wait a minute, this is probably a story about more than just a vineyard. In fact, the Jewish people were, throughout the Old Testament, referred to by God as his vineyard. This is one moment in Isaiah chapter 5. It says this. It says, the vineyard of the Lord Almighty is the nation of Israel. The people of Judah are the vines that he delighted in. So this is not just talking about a physical vineyard. If you're there and you're listening on this day, you're recognizing there's a deeper spiritual truth happening here. He's talking about his own people. So the owner sends his messengers to collect his profits, his fruits, and look at how the tenants respond in verse 35. The tenants seized his servant, they beat one, killed another, and stoned a third. Let's go back to that Airbnb. But let's flip it. You're the owner. And you have people who are renting it from you. And you find out when you send people to collect the payment, when you send people to let them know their reservation has been done, they beat those people. They throw them out. How are you responding to that? Are you guys just good, holy people? You guys don't get angry ever? I grew up in like the Midwest, the suburbs of Dayton, Ohio. I don't really have like that part of me, that thing I feel like comes out where I'm just like, I'm ready to fight somebody. But it can come out sometimes. Especially when I'm watching like an Ohio State football game and I make the mistake of inviting people over who are not Ohio State fans and they just sit there and they chirp and I'm like, Keep running your mouth. Guys, this is your investment. This is the way that you're making money. This belongs to you. You worked for it, and then they beat up and killed the people you sent to get money. How are you responding? I know that I'm not responding the way the master does. I'm sending police next time. I'm sending an army next time. I'm sending hitmen next time. I'm sending my man Joel right here in the front row next time. But look at the next line, verse 36. Again. Now, don't rush past that. Again. Another time. Another moment. Another chance. Another. He sent other servants. We don't even count them this time. It's not just 3. It's more than the first time. How many? We don't even count, and that's not the point. The point is that the master is giving them a lot of grace right now. I'll keep reminding you. I'll keep reminding you. I'll keep reminding you. This vineyard does not belong to you. I'll keep reminding you. This land is not yours. I'll keep reminding you. This is my fruit. But over and over and over and over again, what happens? They react the same way. Why? Because they have it twisted. The tenants think that they own the vineyard. So every reminder that they're not the owner is not seen as a comfort, but as a threat. That's what delusion will do to you. That's what control will do to you. When you have such a firm grasp on something that wasn't yours to begin with, anything that seems like it's taking it out of your hand can be not loved or appreciated or served. It can only be fought against. That's why for many of us, we have good people in our lives that we distance ourselves from because those good people call us to a higher standard, and we don't want to be reminded of the standard that God called us to. So now what's the master going to do? You've sent 3 servants, they killed them. You've sent more servants, they've killed them. Well, now it's time for you to wipe these boys out. You've got the money, you've got the resources. Instead of sending some messengers, let's send some messengers with some weapons. Let's get these guys off the property. Look at the last line. Last of all, he sent his son to them. Some of your translations, they say this, saying, surely they'll respect my son. Okay, pause there for a minute, because I'm sitting here going, I don't know what kind of master this is, but is he delusional? Is he not seeing the facts, the reality of the situation? Servants are being killed. These tenants are not responding to your messages. So you think they're going to listen to your son? That's what he thinks. Why? Because unlike a servant, the son will look like the father. The son will represent the father perfectly. The son will demonstrate and show the tenants and remind them, hey, I know, we've got it wrong with these servants, but guys, this doesn't belong to you. It belongs to my father. Surely they're going to listen to him. Surely they're going to see the son and go, oh no, okay, he's here now. We got to get serious, guys. I don't know how the dynamic was in your home growing up. I got in trouble with my mom a lot. And mom, if you're watching, every single time I got in trouble with you, it formed and shaped me into the man that I am today. But here's my mom. I could weasel my way out of stuff. I could sweet talk her sometimes. You know how to play on the emotions. I'm a changed man now, Mom. But let me tell you the worst words that I could hear from my mom. Wait till your dad comes home. I'd rather not. Let's just do it here. I have it right now. What do you need to do? That's what this moment is. Dad hasn't even shown up yet. The son's coming. The assumption is they're going to listen to the son. But look at what they do. Verse 38. But when the tenants saw the son, they said to each other, this is important. This is the heir. Hold on. From the get-go, they recognize who the son is. It's not like, oh, no, we thought he was another messenger. We are so sorry about how we handled that. No. From the get-go, they know him. Why? Because in their hearts, they know what the Father actually looks like. So when they see his son, they know who his heir is. Come, let's kill him. Take his inheritance. So they took him, threw him out of the vineyard, and killed him. This is blood of the owner. This is his actual likeness. And these men respond with evil. It's hard to imagine, and yet, honestly, it's not that hard to imagine. Because when you love control more than you love truth, you will do anything to protect your illusion of control, your illusion of ownership. When what you control is threatened, you will do things you said you would never do. You will cope in ways you said you would never cope that way. They kill him. They reject the heir. And then that's the end of the story. Like the parable portion. The story's done. Jesus has told it. And now he looks at his audience. Who's in his audience? The Jewish people and the Jewish ruling authorities. And this is what makes Jesus so brilliant. He doesn't tell you what to think. He lets you process and think on your own. I've given you all the information you need, and now look at what he says. Therefore, when the owner of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those tenants? So hey, class, what's he going to do now? You just heard the story. What's he going to do? And it's like they can't even wait to self-righteously indict these fictitious tenants. The ruling authority, the Jewish leaders, they say, well, he will bring those wretches to a wretched end. They reply, and he will rent the vineyard to other tenants who will give him his share of the crop at the harvest time. They're not even, I love how The Chosen, there's like that moment where they're like, I think I know what he's talking about. Like that's not in the text. I love that for the drama of the scene. But in the text, it's like, oh, we know exactly what he'll do. He'll kill those tenants and he'll give the vineyard to somebody else. Because that's what self-righteousness does. It blinds you to your own sin and your own error. If you are a professional at only pointing out what's wrong in the world around you and the people that are in it, and you never have a moment where you recognize what's wrong with you, you're not living the way of Jesus. Anyone can point out the sin in another. It takes the Holy Spirit to recognize the sin in my own heart, and these men did not have that. And look at what Jesus says in verse 42. Have you never read in the scriptures? I love that he's now going to take the word and use that to interpret the word that he just spoke. Have you never read in the scriptures? The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Now, again, I'm a Westerner reading this. I don't know much about vineyard and vineyard planting, but cornerstone and vineyard, they seem like two metaphors. Like, Jesus, I need you to help me slow these things down a little bit, right? I was into the farming thing. You guys have heard me talk about the things that I've tried to plant at my house. Many of you, when I tell those stories, you're like, hey, give us an update about how it goes. I'm not going to, because it doesn't go well. And now we're talking about a cornerstone. What is he doing here? Well, two things. Recognize what a cornerstone is, first of all, contextually. I mean, when you built buildings in this time period, you didn't have computer software that you could expertly, blueprint something, exact measurements and whatnot. I mean, when they built something in this time period, they would lay a foundation and then they would take a perfectly cut stone, no blemishes, nothing wrong with it. They'd put it at the corner of the structure, and then everything was built around and upon that one stone. So, okay, I think I see what you're saying here, Jesus, but what's with this? Have you never read the scriptures? And then he's going to quote the scriptures. What is he quoting? He's actually quoting Psalm 118, verse 22. But what's interesting is where we see, which says, the stone that the builders rejected has now become the cornerstone. He literally just pulls it, pops it right there. But why, of all places, why go there, Jesus? I love how Jesus teaches. Look at Psalm 118, verse 26, just a couple verses later. Bless the one who comes in the name of the Lord. We bless you from the house of the Lord. Now understand this, how this would work in Jewish culture. When you would say a line specifically from the Psalms, it was meant to trigger your memory, which many people in this crowd, specifically the Jewish leaders, would have had memorized. So you say one line, and then it reminds everyone of, oh, it's like if I say like just a small town girl. Stop, I didn't tell you to do that, but you just did it, right? Right? You just knee-jerk reaction. Like, that's what it's meant to do. I'm supposed to think about this. The cornerstone. Wait, Psalm 118. Wait, that's the one that says, bless the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Why is that important? We're in Matthew 21, verse 33. Look at Matthew 21, verse 9. Jesus is in the center of the procession. This is when he comes into the city of Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. And people were shouting, blessing, praise God for the Son of David. Blessings on the one who comes in the name of the Lord. It's the same line. Jesus, what are you doing here? He's beginning to make a turn in the story. He gave them a picture. Now he's turning the picture into a mirror. You were saying, not even a day ago, bless the one who comes in the name of the Lord. But you don't recognize in that exact same psalm, there's a decision that you're going to have to make. A decision where you're going to have to decide, am I the cornerstone for you or am I a stumbling block for you? And right now, he's shifting this parable and he's going, now stop focusing on the tenants. Start thinking about you. Because here's the reality. These Jewish leaders, they had forgotten what they had done to the vineyard that God had given them. The vineyard, the people of Israel, God's kingdom. They were put here to steward that, to work it, to produce good fruit. But what did they do? They took the good gifts like the watchtower and the wall and the winepress, things like God gave them, like the law of God, the word of God, the temple, the city of Jerusalem. They took those good gifts, and what did they do with all of them by the time Jesus got there? They turned them into a system that meant them in more control and other people serving them. They used it, the good gifts that God gave them, they used it as if they were their gifts to begin with, as if they made them and originated from them. They are forgetting the fact that God sent messenger after messenger after messenger. People like Elijah and Jeremiah and Isaiah and Malachi and Micah and Nahum and Zechariah and Zephaniah and Obadiah. They're forgetting the fact that what did they do with all of those messengers that God sent to them? They killed them. They threw them out. They're forgetting that God over and over and over and over reminded them, this is not yours, this is not yours, this is not yours. And every time they were reminded that this was not theirs, they saw it as a threat, and they had to get rid of the threat. And now they're coming face to face with the Son. And did you notice how Jesus, even in that parable, prophesied what they were going to do to him? Because what did they do to the Son? They took him outside the vineyard. They wouldn't even kill him in the vineyard. What are the Pharisees and the chief priests and the scribes going to do to Jesus? Not even a week from now. They're going to go overnight and arrest him, put him on a sham trial, and then they're going to remove him from the city and kill him on a hill called Golgotha, outside the city. This is where, as one pastor who preached this message said, in their response, they are condemning themselves and then they're prophesying about like us in this room, our future. Because they will be put to an end. But God still cares about the vineyard. So what is he going to do with it? Look at what he says in verse 43. Therefore, I tell you that the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people who will produce its fruit. And anyone who falls on this stone himself will be broken to pieces, and anyone on whom it falls will be crushed. You're getting the vineyard removed from you, Jewish leaders, and I'm going to give it to a people. Now that in Greek is the word ethnos. It's a singular word, a singular people group. Who is the people who now have the vineyard? God's people. Who are God's people? The church. And the church is made up of every nation, tribe, race, and tongue. Translation, now it's time to turn the mirror onto us and see us in this story. Because I sat all week long, I'm going to be honest with you, and I was like, man, I don't know how this applies to me because I'm not a Jewish leader. I didn't kill the messengers that God sent to me. I'm not, misusing this vineyard that God has given me. And then I sat with it longer, and I sat with it longer, and I sat with it longer, and I realized, oh my goodness, how do you waste your life? You live as if it doesn't belong, if it belonged to you in the first place. How much of my vineyard, my life, do I live as if it all is mine? Because of my talents, my abilities, my influence, my decision-making, my bank account, my relationships, how easy is it for us to think and to live as if we are where we are today because of us? You live in the house you live in today because of you. Have the job you have today because of you. Are in the marriage you're in today because of you. Have your kids living this kind of life because of you. Now, you were a part of it, just like the tenants. They were working those fields, and they were producing grapes, like they were doing the work. But who put the vineyard there in the first place? Who gave you the gift that you have to make the money that you have? Who gave you the influence you have, the connections you have, the moment you had that brought you into that room to get that job? Who introduced, I don't recognize how much of my life is not because of me. None of it is. It's because of what he has given me. And if I live my life as if it belongs to me, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to waste it. I'm going to waste it. Well, Chris, I wouldn't. Yes, but I would not. I'm not doing what they're doing. Yeah, but here's the problem. The tenants didn't just kill the son. You and I have killed the son as well. Like, we are in this story. Isaiah 53, it says this. Jesus was pierced for our transgressions. Notice it doesn't say he was pierced for their transgressions. He was pierced for your transgressions. No. He was pierced for our collective, all of us, our transgressions, the uncomfortable truth that we don't want to talk about, especially in our world today, is that in a world that is broken and messed up, the most freeing thing you can realize is that it's broken and messed up, not just because of others, but because of you. Because of me. Because of my transgression, my iniquity. But Jesus went to a cross because of that. It was my sin that hung him on that cross, just as much as it was anyone else's sin. But yet he gives me a choice. What will I do with this vineyard that he's given me? And then the story ends in Matthew chapter 21, verse 45. He says that when the chief priests and the Pharisees heard Jesus' parable, they knew he was talking about them. They get it now. They get it. He's speaking about us. And notice this last line. They looked for a way to arrest him, but they were afraid of the crowd because the people held that he was a prophet. They are so angry about what Jesus is saying. They are so frustrated that he has put them in the middle of this story. But they're still so consumed with the opinion of the crowd that they don't do anything about it there. They could have repented there. They could have rebelled there. But instead they stayed indifferent there. And that's the risk for you and I today. is to hear a message like this and to remain indifferent. To hear a message like this and go, well, that's somebody else. Those people who waste their life that way, or this person that wasted their life this way. But no. Recognize that I have the ability, I have the propensity, and I have the tendency to waste my life because I can hold my life like this. My money is mine. My home is mine. My family is mine. My time is mine. Mine. It's my money and I want it now. But man, imagine how miserable of a life it is to be a tenant who's always looking over their shoulder for something that's threatening the thing that they're trying to control. Imagine how freeing it is to work in a vineyard and go, this ain't mine, it's his. I'm just being faithful with what he gave me. And I'm trusting that wall is going to keep who doesn't need to be in here out. And that watchtower is going to let me know and signal when there's a threat on the way. And that wine press right there is going to turn this fruit into good wine to help people flourish. Like, imagine if that's the mentality that we had about life. How much more freeing that is. We think that when we give our life completely to Jesus, it keeps us restricted and restrained. And I'm here to tell you, it absolutely does. But did you ever realize that it's the chains of Jesus that keep you unchained from everything else? That when you're in bondage to Christ, everything else that you were once in bondage to, you're all of a sudden set free from. That's what's offered to you. But what do we do with that? Will we be indifferent like these leaders? Secretly hating Jesus and finding ways to remove him from our life and the world around us? Or will we be people who recognize the Son when he stands in front of us? Today we're going to end by taking communion together. And you'll see on the seat back in front of you or underneath the chair there is the elements if you want to grab those and go ahead and get those out. I think for me, the biggest reason why I can live as if my life belongs to me is because that I forget that it belongs and it came from him. And God gives us these moments to remember who he is and what he has done for us. This act that we have, this ordinance called communion, the Lord's Supper, the Eucharist, based on how you grew up and what church you were a part of, it is not just something that we do that is religious tradition. It is actually a meal we share together where we take the bread and the cup, and in doing that, we are reminded of who God is and what he has done for us. And if you're in this room and there's areas of your life that you are holding on to as if they belong to you, it's just because you've forgotten it belongs to him. So let's remember the truth today. Let's remember the truth today. On the last night that Jesus was here on earth, he took bread. He broke this bread and said, this bread is a picture of my body that will be broken for you. Every time you take this, you do it in remembrance of me, reminding us that every time we take control of our own lives, it produces destruction. It produces hurt. Look at your past. There's probably a wake behind you of decisions that you have made that have hurt you and those around you. I know that's true of my life. And the bread reminds us that even though that wake is behind you, there is a clear sea in front of you. Because he has taken those bad decisions. He's taken that brokenness and he's taken them to the cross. So when we take this bread, we take this remembering his body broken for us because of us. Let's take this bread together. Pull back the side of the juice. On that night, he also took a cup. This cup is the cup of the new covenant. It's a new promise, a new way of relating to God. It's a picture of my blood that will be spilled for you. Because there always needed to be blood. There was always something that had to die because the wages of sin is death. God tells Adam and Eve in the garden, do not eat of this tree. If you do, you will surely die. They eat of the tree, but they don't die. Why is that? Because they don't die, something dies on their behalf. At the end of that story, there is an animal that is killed, and its skin's given to Adam and Eve so they could be clothed, no longer naked and ashamed. Something has to die because of sin, because the wages of sin, the return of sin, is death. And you and I have the promise that death is not the end for us, despite our sin, because Christ died on our behalf. So when we take this cup, we take it remembering that he died for us. Let's take this together. Jesus, we thank you. Thank you for being good to us. Thank you for dying for us. And thank you for giving us the Lord's Supper to remember what you have done for us. To remember that the vineyard is not ours. Our life is not our own. It belongs to you, Jesus. Help us to remember this. Remember that it was our sin that put you on a cross, and yet you still have called us friend. So Jesus, would you help us remember this week? Our life is not our own. This vineyard is not ours. And we produce fruit to give to you. We love you, Jesus, and we pray this in your name. Amen.